With this feeling, I can leave. I'm working and I'm dreaming. Will you dare to give it all up and walk by my side? Do you see the road? Do you hear?
Good morning, everybody. This is State of the Nation. I am Jason Bainbridge, and today we have a treat for you. Something a little bit different. We have an event coming up. Well, I shouldn't say we. I say some people have an event coming up, and today we are talking with Levi Wolf and Zeph Tipun-Midu. And Zeph Tipun-Midu is a spokesperson from the organization Camp Sour. Good morning, Zeph.
Good morning, bro. Glad to be here.
Great to have you on board. And also, good morning, Mr. Wolf.
Good morning, Jason.
Yeah, how you been this week, buddy?
Oh, colder than a witches' convention here at the moment, mate. I certainly envy your disposition over there in the balmy tropics.
Yeah, well, we're just sweating it off, and all day, every day. You know, like there's been a lot of complaints that there's been a heat wave around the world and in England and in the USA. Man, we are in a permanent heat wave here. We're like hitting 40 degrees Celsius, 41 degrees Celsius. As a matter of fact, that's normal. So I don't know why the world is declaring a crisis that we're in global warming, because for me, that's quite normal. Absolutely normal. Yes. So today, we are going to talk about this little thing here that I have found on the internet. And let's get a little bit of background though first. Zeph, tell me a little bit about what are you doing in Marsden Point? Are you camping out there, or do you have an office out there, or what exactly are you doing there?
No, so the name Camp Sour came about because we met each other at a camp in Wellington, and we've camped out since then when we came up with the Camp Sour initiative. But we're not currently camped at Marsden Point. We sort of just decided to focus on getting information out to the general public via social media. So that's our main focus right now. We do have the occasional pop-up protests and sort of raise awareness on the street, you know, do the groundwork that way. But our main focus is, getting information out there to the public, which I think is important.
Awesome. It seems to be a trending thing at the moment. That's why we're doing the energy report. And so you're limited a lot of your information to your Facebook page, if I am correct. So let me just open that Facebook page, and we'll just take a quick squiz at that, because I did see an advertisement there. So where's my media profile? Very good. Let's take a look. So here we are. We're actually on the Camp Sour Facebook page, and I've got to go back up to the top. Okay, save our unique refinery. And there's a picture of Marsden Point there, just doing a graphic explanation because you guys can't see my screen. Okay, so we're on the your Facebook page, Save Our Unique Refinery. Now, I'm going to scroll down a little bit because I saw a very interesting advertisement down here, which I've seen trending on the internet. Your Facebook page is Save Our Unique Refinery. That's where you get the sour from.
Yeah, it's a convenient acronym considering, it's also a type of crude, sour crude, which is one we primarily used to process at the refinery.
Now there you go, a little factoid that I had no idea existed. So sour. So we got a sour crude, and we also have a sweet crude, don't we? We have a sweet crude.
Yeah, so our Taranaki oil fields actually produce sweet crude. But the refinery was primarily set up to process sour crude, but it's not to say that it can't process sweet crude. It definitely 100% was capable of processing sweet crude.
Awesome. Yeah, I've still got to educate myself a little bit on the different types of crude oils they have out there. Seems that New Zealand is sitting on a veritable gold mine of energy and resources. We're just not taking advantage of it, really, are we? That's the problem.
That's the biggest problem right now. I mean, we have all the, capability of being not having to depend on overseas crude supplies. While that is nice, but when the world sort of descends into chaos, at least if we had our refineries still, we could rely on our own crude supplies to keep essential services alive. And, by doing that, we can avoid the possibility of our food supply chain collapsing, which to me is one of the biggest implications.
Yeah, the whole thing about the food supply, and to be honest, we can see that this is literally engineered around the world. It's lockstep, Operation Lockstep. They're in the flow with each other. A lot of the Western governments are involved in this. I'm out here in Asia, but I can see a very different picture. I can see a robust economy. They did go with the old COVID thing for a little while there. They gave it a crack. They got out of lockdown. The first one they kind of held for about five months. So we were actually out of work, not necessarily locked down fully, but most of the industries were closed down, except for supermarkets, which had limited capacity. You had certain time limits that you had to go in, which is kind of ironic, because if you're trying to keep people 6 feet apart, you don't squeeze the entire city into a 9 till 11 a.m. gap, time slot. Yeah. Because they were packing the places out instead of just drip, as they normally go, where people go at their own time and they just drip feed themselves into it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So are things looking a little bit better over there, you'd say?
We're looking peachy. We're looking great over here.
Good.
The Vietnamese government has a strong relationship with, lo and behold, Russia. So we get our oil locally. It is explored and produced locally and then sent off to Russia. And then they do the refining, very much like the Australia-New Zealand relationship was.
Yeah.
And they send it back. So I'm just noticing that there have been a lot of fires happening in Russia at the moment. So this may actually start to affect, if these big fires in these gas plants continue to expand and accelerate, then we may actually start entering into this realm that New Zealand is in. But for the most part, we're not there yet.
So it's not just America that's experiencing fires and certain essential infrastructures, but I wasn't aware that Russia was having the same problem.
Yeah, Russia's largest pipeline was on fire last week, and just yesterday I saw another pipeline on fire. So definitely there is a war on energy, that's for sure.
Yeah, we actually see some evidence of this, of some form of collusion or complicity in the report that was released by the MBIE, I think aimed towards the Minister's office, I believe. Don't quote me on this, I haven't got it in front of me. But they put in ridiculously small numbers like 3 and 4% when we talk about Marsden Point Refinery's ability to refine New Zealand crude oil. They talk stupid small numbers like 3-4% of our energy requirements is all that we could do, but the actual real figure is more closer to 25%. So Marsden Point refining Taranaki oil could supply 25% of New Zealand's energy needs in terms of fuel oils. So, and what does that translate to? Well, that'd keep our Army, Navy, ambulances and food trucks running.
Yes.
That's, I think, something we should definitely focus on, is keeping our essential services alive. I mean, they're already struggling enough as it is.
Absolutely. So what we've got to do here is we have to stand up to fuel prices. Here's my segue in. How's that?
Yeah.
Now, on your website, we have a poster here, and it says, "Enough is enough. We deserve better." So let's talk about this for just a moment. What exactly is Stand Up to Fuel Prices New Zealand-wide? Let's go with you, Mr. Zeph, as you're our guest today.
Yeah, well, I wasn't actually the one that brought this initiative to the table. One of our closest associates, she runs Operation Good Oil, and Levi's is part of that. They put this plan together, and Camp Sour supports it 100%. So we've done a bit of advertising in that regard too. But it's, we are through our pop-up protests we've done, we're seeing, we're getting a lot of feedback from the public, and the public definitely are not happy. And for the ones who can't keep up with the political motives behind these things, and they don't understand the implications of the sabotage, you might call it. One thing they do know is that the fuel prices aren't okay, and so I think this initiative here is basically to have all those people that know that, at least, to stand up and join in and get out on the streets and have the government hear their voice. And one thing I've been saying is, because a lot of people think the government had nothing to do with this. Well, they absolutely had everything to do with this. They were offered a solution by the union to stop the refinery closure, and they ignored it. And and then we have a massive amount of tax on top of that. And like Levi has pointed out in the past, it's not, when you Google it and they give you a figure of how many cents a litre of that is tax, that's not the case. There's other taxing involved with that, with every litre of petrol you buy. So absolutely the government is responsible for these things, and I think it'd be good to get everyone out there and at least have them hear our voice, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely, yes, I do. So let's talk about this. Let's transition back to this poster here. So the 3rd and the 4th of July. So I was looking at that this movement is a global movement. Is that right, Mr. Levi?
Well, it's not a global movement as such, but it has been done in conjunction with Stand Up to Fuel Prices UK. So there is action happening on the same day in the UK.
Okay. And is Australia going to participate in this, do you think?
I'm not sure of that myself. I haven't seen any Stand Up to Fuel Prices Australia pages, but probably something worth looking into.
Okay, all right, awesome. Okay, so the UK, it's originally a UK initiative. That's awesome, brilliant, good on you, UK. Let's go with Levi. Levi, can you just give me a brief description of what actually is going to happen on those 2 days?
Well, really, it's up to everybody to make their own mind up what they want to do on those 2 days. The main theme is to get out there, get awareness up, of what's happening, what's actually happening, because a lot of people don't really know what's happening because they just sit down and watch the 6 o'clock news. The news goes, war in Russia, petrol up, bad, and then they walk off and go back to work thinking those bleeding Russians, So we need to get it out there that this is not an oil crisis, this is a refining crisis. The reason why the fuel is expensive is because there's not enough refineries operating at the moment to process all the fuel requirements that the oil companies who are producing the fuel serve. So they have created a product shortage, and now they're profiting hand over fist out of it. So there is a solution here. We do have a refinery sitting there that's not producing fuel. The solution to the high fuel prices is to restart that refinery and start producing fuel and make more of it. Simple supply and demand. It's not rocket science. It's very, very easy. So if we can get the message out there that this is not an oil crisis, this is a refining crisis, then hopefully people will start to actually look a little bit deeper. into the causes and then realise that, hey, this has been done to us. This is not some set of random events. And at that point, people can really start to stand up and start to hold people accountable.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so what will Camp Sour be doing for the stand-up?
I'll just, before I do that, I'll just quickly add something to what Levi said. And I think if people, this is something that people could take on board to make sense of this, but it's important to note that that decision to close our refinery was based on a loss in refining margins. But the thing is the shareholders that voted to close it, they're the guys that control the refining margins. So, for the public listening, just think about that, But as to your question with the Stand Up to Fuel Prices initiative, I'm hoping to organise a couple of small convoys because obviously petrol is very expensive right now. And I worked this out for some of the smart people out there, but we would be using 0.00016% of our annual usage to have a small convoy and use that to have our voices heard. But what we're hoping on doing is having a couple of small convoys, one from Whangarei to Westgate, West Auckland, and another one maybe from Hamilton. That's not in stone yet, but that's something we're hoping to do. And I've organised a wee bit of a meet-up point for some of the car clubs, because I know those guys are foaming right now with the price of fuel. So it'd be good to get them along to Westgate, and we're going to have a bit of a park up there, have some music, some food, hopefully get some food trucks there. And we're going to be on the ground handing out flyers and talking to people because, we've noticed we've sparked a lot of interest now and people actually want to come and pick our brains and learn about this type of thing. So we'll be there doing that and just creating a good atmosphere as well.
Yes, it's all about creating a good atmosphere where people can actually ask questions and get good answers.
Can I just jump in there, Jason?
Absolutely, go ahead.
So really, it's about people just taking the opportunity just to hit the streets. Let's try to do it on a nationwide basis, and but you don't have to do a convoy or anything like that. Even if you just go down to your local servo with a sign with a good message on it, and just get people who are driving in there to start to think. It's really, we just want to get people thinking and we want to get them looking and researching into what's actually happening. So,
good point.
If you want to get out there and do something on the 4th, it doesn't matter, write something on the back of your windscreen with a paint pen. Take a sign out to your local servo, go and pick at the local oil company's office if you've got one, whatever, even your local MP. Just get out there and make some noise and make some presence.
Yeah, absolutely. So the event, the park up that I was talking about, is just a sub event. It's not the entire event. That's just something that we've sort of organised on the side. But yeah, we are hoping to get people out there all over New Zealand. Just if they got signage, they just want to show and just have their presence felt. Then that's what we want ultimately.
And Levi, as operators, so there are two parties that are supporting this initiative. So we've got Operation Good Oil, and we've got Camp Sour participating in this. So how about further down the country? Have you talked to any other participants who might be interested? Let's say down in the Lower North Island, or maybe heading over across the ditch to the South Island.
Yeah, that's not really my department, but I can say that it's not just Operation Good Oil and Camp Sour that are getting behind this. These stand-up days, stand up against fuel prices, NZ days. There are people all over the country that have indicated that they're going to want to support in some way, shape, or form. So, hopefully it just keeps growing, and we're not here to ask anybody for money. We're not here to ask anybody to join our organisations. All we're really saying is, hey NZ, let's stand up and let's let them know that we know what they're up to. and you know, we're not going to allow them to keep doing this for much longer. But stand up, New Zealand. It's time to stand.
Yes, that's right. And they have been getting away with it for quite some time, that's for sure. They literally think that people are like, well, to be honest, I mean, most of these people who are accepting this and just blindly going along with the 6 p.m. news, you know, for the most part, it's not really their fault because we have been taught by a system not to question at all, not to question the authority of our grand leaders, but unfortunately, blind obedience to this is allowing this problem to continue. So I believe that if New Zealand stood up, you know, very much like what happened in the Wellington convoy, it was a national movement that really shook them to the core, and they had to run around and make all sorts of counter initiatives to cope with, which is now what I think is a flourishing of the freedom movement in New Zealand, and it's going through some very early stages. That you know, you've got a lot of new faces out there. I think the older establishment on the freedom movement are sort of looking at the new blood, the new freshmen. But I'm glad that it's getting out there and it's getting more and more wild, and more people are getting involved. So on from
Can I just say this, Jason?
Yes.
I'm sorry to jump in.
That's okay.
But, you know, it's time we stop blaming other people. You know, we need to take some responsibility for what's happened as a people and as a nation. Now, we know that the politicians, and excuse my language, but I'm going to say this, we know that the politicians are full of shit. We know that the media are bullshit artists. So it's about time that we started to take a little bit of responsibility for the fact that we've allowed them to get away with this kind of nonsense for so long. You know, it's time that we call these people out. And the very first step that we need to take is just stop listening to their nonsense.
Yes, absolutely. What's your take on that, Zeph?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like we're all guilty of participating one way or another, but I mean, enough is enough. You know, let's acknowledge it for what it is and let's do something about it. You know, and like you said with the media is not, you know, they're sort of fueling this fire, and we can't enable it. You know, because ultimately, when you become complicit and blindly allow this to happen, you become the enabler of this. So let's not do that anymore. You know? And like I said with Camp Sour, our main objective right now is raising awareness. And we're not just hyper-focused on the oil and fuel shortages aspect as well. We are we know there's a bigger picture at play, and we sort of have plans in the future to sort of raise more awareness in some of those other aspects.
All right, awesome, guys. Okay, so let's just... I've noticed that you've got a contact 0800 number there. I'm just taking a look at your poster. 0800 NZ4 Oil is your contact number. So this is how they can contact you. Is that Good Oil, or is that Camp Sour, or is it both?
That's a 0800 number that was set up specifically for the stand-up.
For the stand-up.
New Zealand.
Very good.
So, look, if you want to get involved, if, you know, we're looking at getting some standardised signs PDF'd up and put out there at cost price. So if people want to get on board and they want to get some media, some publication, we've got stuff like that available. Otherwise, you know, just give the phone number a call and let us know that you're on board. And that way we can just, you know, keep in contact and keep our comms up with all the various groups around the country, yeah?
Awesome, very good. Let's just take one last look at the website so people know how to get hold of you. We're doing a very short energy report today because we're focusing specifically on this task and we have some things to do. So let's transition back into there we are, the media PDF, there we are. Okay, so here's you can find Camp Sour on Save Our Unique Refinery on Facebook. There you go, so you just keyword that in and it will pop up. And if you scroll down on their Facebook page a little bit, you'll come across the poster here. The Camp Sour team will be in Westgate on the 3rd of July to support the Stand Up to Fuel Prices New Zealand-wide event. So more events on the event pages below. And here, you can click on that picture here and you can find that 0800 number. And you have a Telegram group as well. What is your Telegram address?
I think that'll be... I'm not actually on Telegram, but I think Levi might know something about that.
Okay. So the Telegram account would be Stand Up. Mr. Levi, are you familiar with that?
Well, there's Operation Good Oil, of course.
Okay.
We have Operation Good Oil Telegram accounts. So if you Google, search those up, you should find Operation Good Oil. As far as stand-up's concerned, I don't think there is a Telegram group for that.
Okay, very good. Just one thing, just one random question. Convoys, Hard Park, food, music. Nice little poster there you've got of these Gunton and Kensley. So you're going to meet on the corner of Gunton Drive and Kesley Road in Westgate. That's going to be the meeting point, corner of Gunton Drive and Kesley Road, Westgate. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct. There's actually it's a retired Wilson car park there. It's quite a big area. So there's more than enough room to come and park up there.
Awesome. That's brilliant, guys. Hey, sorry for the short energy report today, guys. We're a little bit out of time now. Thank you to my guests, Zeph Tippin. We're going to do that, aren't we? Tippin, come on, help me out here. Explain Tippin.
It's actually because I am, I'm involved in motorsport, and tipping is actually a term used when you're performing the art of doing a burnout and you tip the car in backwards. That's what that means.
Ah, I see. So tip in. Okay, so that is your nickname. So that's interesting that you're into motorsport. How many years have you been involved in motorsport? This is actually quite a big issue for you because you are actually directly affected by all of this.
Yeah, big time. I mean, I run a small business that's been hard. It's been struggling ever since the start of COVID. But I do mainly motorsport orientated stuff and a lot of work on street legal cars as well, but sort of in the performance aspect. And I do EFI tuning as well, so I get to see firsthand the effects of poor quality fuel versus good fuel. So that's something interesting to note as well. But I basically, I started my business, 4 or 5 years ago. But before that, it was more of a hobby, working on friends' cars and just other people that were in the motorsport industry, and it's I built up a big enough clientele base where I could transition into a full-scale business relatively easy. But this COVID fiasco has been making it pretty hard on us guys when it comes to shipping. Another reason why I'm worried about supply chain issues, because that's the one thing that puts food on the table for me and my family.
Awesome. All right, very good. So that's one of the very first things that I said. I think on our first episode, you can't do a convoy without petrol. You can't have motorsports without petrol. You can't have muscle cars without petrol. You can't, I don't think there are going to be any CNG powered muscle cars in the near future at all, guys. So don't forget, everybody, you can check out Camp Sour's Facebook page at facebook.com, Save Our Unique Refinery. You can take a look at that and you can catch up with them. You can use the 0800 number, which is 0800 NZ for oil. And you can also find Operation Good Oil on their Telegram, which is Operation Good Oil, and it's searchable. And you can also find the New Zealand State of the Nation report with myself, Jason Bainbridge. Thank you very much, Mr. Tip In. I like that. Mr. Zeph, or should we call you Zephyr? Yeah.
No, cheers, man. No, thanks for having me here. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And thank you, Levi, for attending today and helping us out with getting to know a bit more about this movement, everybody. So thank you. You have been on the Energy Report with Jason Bainbridge. I'll transition that in. This is the Energy Report with Jason Bainbridge on the State of the Nation, here with Levi Wolf and Zeph Tippin Midu. And we'll see you again real soon, guys. Thank you very much. Goodbye.